What else is new, people, right? Orientation. I'll get that right someday. I'll get that right someday. Uh, won't just be today. All right, here we go. Blade. All right. With coming off, coming off of a, um, coming off of a very, very cool, fun Deadpool Wolverine movie. They bring back Wesley Snipes' Blade. And now there's a lot of speculation in the comic book marketplace as to now two things. What direction are they going to go? There were some director problems with that project. I think it's still on board for 2026. Well, let me talk to you. Just like how we see the curveball thrown in the Marvel, with Marvel movies, multiverse, etc. Here is Marvel's chance to dig deep into the history of the comic books. Marvel's chance now with 3 Blade movies already done on the other side. On the other side, now you bring him in and run a Marvel movie, things could look pretty different. A lot of new characters. See, I think that this one is going to be a passing of the torch. So, I got some notes. There is a modern book with Blade. It introduces B negative. Guys, literally a dollar book right now. Literally. Some might call it a key issue. I mean, listen, I promise you, you'll find it probably in a dollar book if you go right now to your local comic shops, or if you go right now on eBay and try to grab these things, or whatever marketplace you guys use, because after we're all said and done, I promise you, these books are gonna start to tick up, and it's just some interesting puzzle pieces and speculation that I'm gonna put out there. You got a Blade book that introduces B negative. In that same book, you have what they wrote the story as the last Avengers. And in that, you got Citizen V, Silver Sable, and Prowler. Now, do you guys remember a year and a half ago where Silver Sable and Prowler were being spec'd on to be introduced into the Marvel Universe? Do you guys remember that? Sure you do. If you guys are buyers and sellers, of course you do, because I surely do. And those books were taken off back then, and there was a reason. Because of development and plan and rumors from the back end. Now, if you keep putting the puzzle pieces together, we know that there are more actors and actresses that were introduced into this project. We could only speculate and determine right now, will they use Blade's daughter, who first appeared in a free comic book a day book? You guys know that already, and if you don't, now you do. Then Blade's daughter had the solo title, right? Again, we're talking dollar books here. The free comic book day one did have a peak, did run at some point. You can find it though pretty low out there. You really can still. Silvereye, a team that's SHIELD, that hunts and wants to take out the vampires, right? We could grow on that. And all of these puzzle pieces are all right now in the dollar bins. But now let's talk about Blade. Obviously, the big one is the Tomb of Dracula, right? That's the big one. That one is going to keep on safely maintaining its value in the market. It's history. And this is what I keep trying to explain to everybody. That you could love and buy anything you want. You could feed into the gimmicks, but you're only making people who are out there trying to manipulate you more rich, and they're benefiting from a gimmick. What I strongly suggest is looking at the bigger picture down the line. Avengers, Doomsday, Doctor Strange 3, Fantastic Four, Secret Wars. We now know that there's going to be now 3 more Spider-Man movies that he signed the contract with. Venom will they're saying that Null in the Venom universe is going to come over to the Spider-Man 4. At this point, this is all speculation. And listen, would it make for cool movies? Sure. This is where it gets interesting now. And you don't need me to tell you this, but I'm just talking to you guys. I'm not here for likes, follows, subscribes, and bullshit, and this is not my job. I'm just come here to speak. We see right now in a market that is not a hot market, and in 2 or 3 weeks, we're heading into New York Comic-Con, Jacob Javits Center. Now, I could assure you this twofold. These vendors paid a lot of money for their sections. You best believe these vendors will cut a deal with you, and if they don't, their business acumen and strategies are on a completely different path. Because realistically, right now, in the market, when you're walking into New York Comic Con, walk in knowing the power's in the palm of your hands. Because it still is a buyer's market. And I will always say this, and I keep on saying this. The price of a collectible is only worth the price someone in the world is willing to pay for it. And when you guys all walk into New York Comic Con, these men and women who invested and took the risk of buying their booths at an enormous rate. See, you're also not going to see a lot of guys you usually see at New York Comic Con this year. You're not going to see a lot of them. Reason being is because a lot of things changed over there. A lot of people got terminated. The prices are exorbitant. Like it's really makes no sense how high they're making these prices for booths. So that could only benefit you as a buyer, because these vendors are going to need to not only make their investment back, but they're looking to make a profit also. So use that to your advantage as a clutch. Use that in your negotiation strategies to achieve a goal that you wish to achieve realistically. Because anybody can claim and say, well, you know, the last sold price was this, the last sold price is this. But always remember, Even if they're playing the eBay or the eBay live game, or even a short boxed game, or whatever application you use out there in the world to buy and sell, there's percentages. So in fact, a $200 sale in black and white realistically is what? Only about $175 back to the seller's pocket. I mean, it all depends. You guys do the math. That eBay obviously runs on 14%. If you're promoting your listing, that's anywhere from 2% to whatever percent you run a promotion. You could promote your items on eBay. If you're on the whatever apps, it's about 10 to 14%. Again, that is being taken off the sale price. Also keep in mind, a lot of these vendors, they're paying for travel expenses, shipping costs, room and board, food and drink and entertainment. This is a major investment. Some would call it these days a risk to set up at these very big conventions. Now, there are some sellers that do very well because they price accordingly, respectfully. They implement some sort of common sense to give the buyer a feel that they are getting their value. They are getting their worth. On the other hand, we see a lot of transactions between multiple vendors doing deals, exchanges, trades. Hey, why not? Commerce is commerce, business is business. There's nothing wrong with that. I've educated so many people in the world that sometimes when you have a grail and you estimate that grail realistically to maybe be $15,000, $20,000, $30,000, you got to keep in mind that there's only a small niche of people that might be able to afford that sale. But if you're looking to get that $30,000, $15,000, $40,000, $60,000 quicker, well then sometimes use those grails as a clutch and trade for a bunch of more realistic, affordable key issues, and then do the trade, giving that seller then a book that maybe they always wanted to achieve, and then it's their long game on how they will sell that one book. But that seller that implemented the trade now has a culmination of more affordable, strategic books that they could sell quicker to then get their $15,000, $20,000, $30,000, $60,000 attainable goal price. And for years, I have instructed and educated men and women who take this business seriously to do that move. And they have achieved a higher sales volume by using those grails as a trade clutch, as a trade tool to get affordable, better inventory. I'm not saying junk, affordable, better inventory, which will sell quicker because it's more affordable. Take that into consideration as well. I'm going to talk tomorrow more in depth about the Marvel and DC superheroes trademark. I said something that sounded pretty stupid because sometimes I'll talk quick, trying to just get a message across, and I think in my words on Shop the Comic, on I think I said it didn't make sense or something to that matter, which is fucking stupid of me to say. Of course it makes sense for Marvel and DC to have had shared and made a trademark for superheroes. Of course it makes sense. Don't know why I said that or what my brain was trying to say. I guess what, no, I know. I think what I was getting at is all of us now in 2024 look at the word superhero and superheroes, and it's so common to us. That's what I meant. It's so common to us now, and that's how they lost the rights, because it's so common to us now in 2024. But you got to realize, see, they shared joint ownership of superheroes back in the day, where it was not a common word or a common phrase. Now this is going to go to show you our government and our trademark and state systems. And we're going to dig deeper tomorrow, and I'm going to open up some eyes and raise some light bulbs and really stir a pot tomorrow to tie this all in with government and where the world's going. You might not like what I say, you might not agree with what I say tomorrow, but that's okay, because this is a beautiful thing, that when there's civilized conversations, we can all entertain each other's points and respect each other. And things don't have to escalate in, what's that word? Drama and arguments and craziness. But tomorrow I'm going to go more in depth about that. But it's just very interesting how things can be now overchanged, overruled. Think about that tonight. Sleep on that. Because tomorrow we're going to touch base on that. And this now finally happened in something that we love. Our Marvel and our DC Comics and the comic industry. Now, this is great and very cool for indie publishers and stuff, and now they could put on their titles Mr. X, the superhero, or they could use now these terms and phrases. But tomorrow we're gonna dig it a little deeper. And we're gonna get really serious tomorrow on an uncensored show. How trademarks and rules and government can change. How ownership and rights can be taken away. And we just seen this September 26th, the other day, with Marvel and DC. That needs to make you concerned. That truly needs to make you concerned, especially if you are a trademark, Jesus Christ. I'm thinking Batmite. It's hilarious what goes through my head sometimes. Trademarks and copyrights that you might own out there in the world. So with that being said, and tomorrow too we're going to touch base on Bane and Deathstroke. Projects are coming from DC. So I'm sure that now we're going to see Deathstroke and Bane take off. First appearances, key issues, modern storylines such as the New 52. Keep that in mind, because we see where James Gunn's approach is taken from. And now some New 52 books might start to get interest again. This is a very interesting thing. This is a very good thing for local comic shops. God bless them for staying on track and fighting to keep their doors open. It is tough. Fighting to keep their doors all open, evolving to be more aggressive in e-commerce and apps and live sales, because they can't really depend on their local community anymore. We also see a very changing and evolving generation, younger generation, and who's really not into this stuff like our generation and older are and have been. This is a concern. It is also concerned where the comic book industry is going. Will it evolve digitally? Will it evolve virtually? This is everything that a collector and an investor strategically has to take into consideration. Sometimes you got to think outside of the box to paint the picture, to manifest it in the real world, to make it happen. And we're kind of seeing that. We see that with directors, we see that with the movies, we see that with current writers and storylines. Guys, a 180 is happening. A 180 is happening. And we're in the midst of it. This is where an investor, a collector, but the investor analyzes and really listens. And now I'm going to touch base on something that I observed the other night, where and I don't need to put it in my titles. I don't want any. I'm not here to play games or to do clickbaits or to listen. But what I'm going to say is very true, because I watch the people. I watch shows. I like to see what everybody's talking about, because I truly love this. I love the comic books. I love the industry. I love collectibles. I love investing. I love seeing people achieve their goals. I love seeing people making money properly, with integrity. And I have to say, for the first time in a very, very long time, I seen the man, I keep on saying that, I know I'm older than them, but I keep on saying that, the man, Tom Garcia, finally showing himself on a video speaking to Sticky Goose. And that's the Tom, that's the comic Tom you guys don't know. And like him or not, remember, it's a character, and remember, he's running a business. I'm not here to defend anybody. I'm not. But touring for all of these years and seeing people behind the scenes, and then seeing people on camera and seeing their persona and their characters come out, is a very different thing than the people that you know or think you know behind the scenes. And it was very, very nice to see Tom Garcia on camera with Sticky Goose, and it was a very cool video. I'm glad that both of those men, I was going to say it again, they are younger than me, I was going to say it again, both of those men did what they did last night, and I think it opened up eyes for both men that their actual realistic everyday personas were there on camera. And I think that both are very, very beautiful. When I say the word beautiful, I mean soul. Very, very beautiful, intelligent, passionate men whom have their own niche and viewership. And it was nice to see that video tie that in. And on social media, I even observe some people whom are not fans saying the same exact thing that they actually got to see a true persona in each of them the other day. And that's important. That's important because you got to realize what anybody does in this world, whether it be you, whether it be me, or anybody out there looking to grow something for themselves, whether it be business, whether it's just to be silly, or whether it's just to come on and just talk to somebody because you might not have somebody to talk to. Always be true to yourself. Always be true to yourself. Now, you guys know, I could get wild and crazy. I could let that energy and that emotion fly. God knows when I'm on stage, it's 1000%. Because in my mind, it might be the last time I'm doing it. So when I'm in the public, I always want the people to have fun and enjoy what we're doing together. Now, I told you this for 29, 30 years. Nick GQ does not exist without the people. It was the people that came to the nightclubs every night. It was the people who followed me and believed in me back in the MySpace days. And they came with me on the ride to Instagram. We opened and closed multiple nightclubs in New York City, in Miami, in Vegas. We did music conferences from the ground up that still exists today under the new regime, and it's still going. That's called legacy. And it is so important to me to see young men and women building respectable legacies for themselves. Because, my friends, that is what truly will make a human being immortal, is memory, memories, word. You see, there's a funny word in life called history. And I always tell you to break down words. Break down the word history. His story. Stories told generation after generation. Remember that. So this is why I yell and scream and sometimes get very fucking passionate about things that I love and care about, because I know I'm not going to be here to keep on doing what I do. And I'm not going to be here to try to protect the people. But while I'm here, still fighting, and if you're in the same situation as me, you fight. You don't yield. And the same thing, if you're passionate about something and you believe in something, you fight for it. And you don't yield. And you keep moving forward. And that is evolution. So with that said, will we see Blade evolve? I believe so, yes. Will we see a turn of the tide? Yes. Blade had 3 movies. We get Blade in the Deadpool Wolverine movie. It is very, very beautiful to see Wesley Snipes. I am very curious to see the upcoming projects that he has coming out. I am very interested to see the tie-ins of how now this is going to play out. I'm very excited to see Norman as Null. He's a fantastic man. Fantastic man. very talented. And the most beautiful thing is seeing our childhood and now the new generation's childhood of characters merging, evolving, and the story continues. This is why I am so passionate in protecting the validity and integrity of this industry. Because there are the manipulators that come into this industry to run these gimmicks on self-made, non-historic, no story whatsoever. Let's print these gimmicks for $4 to $8 each and sell them for $20, $30, $40, $50 each and run with the profits and then do it all again. Because, hey, these suckers are going to buy them. And that makes me sick. So, just keep it in mind. You guys can buy whatever you want to buy. You guys, you like it, buy it. You want to support your friends and you want to buy what they're putting out? Well, you make sure that that's your real friend. Just make sure of that. You make sure that that's your real friend. And with that said, tomorrow, Sunday, if you're on Long Island, New York, tomorrow's the 29th, I'm going to go check out a big festival fair in Syosset. It's by the Syosset Long Island Railroad station. It's massive. There's a Dunkin' Donuts there. There's going to be like over, I believe, 200 or 300 vendors. I'm going to go and check it out. I'm not going to set up. I made that decision. I'm not going to set up because I'm uncertain of the weather. I deal with collectibles. I personally don't want to take that risk. I do know that there are going to be other men and women who have collectibles as well as other great items. So I'm going to go and check that out tomorrow. I hope to see some of you there. If my brain does not recognize you, please do not feel shy. When you see me, come over, say what's up, let's talk. I think it's going to be a great event. Then that's going to bring us to October 17th, 18th, 19th, 20th, New York Comic-Con, Jacob Javits Center. I'll see everybody there. Then that's going to bring us to Halloween. I will be in Orlando, Florida for the November 1st, 2nd, and 3rd Fanatics Fest, Fanatics Collect event at the convention center, the same convention center where MegaCon is held. You're going to have comics, toys, cards, collectibles, meet and greets. It's going to be big. It's going to be big. Vendors, seriously, make sure you get your tables. They're only $350. You could get up to, I believe, 6 of them. Do it now, do it quick. It's going to be an amazing event. And hopefully, these other conventions can learn from that example, because I think that it is absolutely appalling that these vendors, these men and women, are truly being taken advantage of with the astronomical prices of vendor booths. And I'll say it again, that's why you're not going to see a lot of your favorite vendors and friends setting up this year at New York Comic Con. It's absurd, honestly, it's absurd. And with that said, developmental, you guys are going to see a MGM casino. Now it's going to start to be built. right next to the Jacob Javits Center. So this is going to make that New York Comic Con, I think, it's going to change. It's going to change, and you're going to get that in a couple of years in the future, in the near future, with that big MGM Grand Casino right next to the Jacob Javits Center in the the Hudson Yards, and you're going to now have more subways and more hotels that's going to be built. Sky's the limit for events at the Jacob Javits Center, New York Comic Con, Fanatics Fest, Toy Fair. Sky's the limit. Sky's the limit. I don't think I'm gonna be around to see it, but as a promoter, there's going to be a lot more events. MGM, listen, working with Vegas, I mean, sky's the limit for what's coming to that new hotels and casino, and right next to Jacob Javits Center. So it's going to be a very, very interesting future 4-day event, maybe even now a week event, with buyers and sellers and vendors, and they're going to have a casino next to them now with more hotels. I could only imagine the level of how that's going to feel now in the future. So, listen, it's up to you guys to truly keep the integrity in this business. At the end of the day, it's a business. It's up to you guys to keep this integrity in this business. And artists, there's nothing wrong with saying no thank you on a project. There's nothing wrong with that. Be leaders, not followers. Set the tone and show off your artistic talents. Shout out to Tyler Kirkham. Now, I'm going to explain why I'm saying that right now. Everyone knows that one of the first of those variants was done by Tyler Kirkham and Invincible, and it set the stage for what he created with that variant type. And like it or not, that man made his own continuity of style. Now hear me out. Like him or not, Rob Liefeld, shout out to you. He made his own continuity of style. And do you see how it has lasted through the generations? 1990, 2000. We're now in 2024. It's going to be 2025. The man is still selling his continuity of style. You see that? So, artists, I say to you this. When you're called on to do yet another ASM 300 homage, or a Hulk 340 homage, or a homage, or there's nothing wrong with you to say, thank you for contacting me and thinking about me in this project, and I'm highly flattered. But may I introduce a style that I have in mind to be different, be a leader, not a follower. Set your own continuities. Set your own definitions. You guys don't have to keep on doing gimmicks and gimmicks and gimmicks and Shattereds and Pokemons and put sports celebrity faces and run gimmicks on irrelevant, made-up books just to call it a comic book, to print the minimum number of pages because you think that you guys are just selling a cover, and then you think that, oh, okay, well, because it's X number of pages in X number of height, CGC and CBCS and now PSA are gonna grade it. That's where I call on the CGC, the CBCS, and the PSA. Why are you grading this stuff? Why don't you just say no? That's food for thought. And yes, there's going to be people that are going to agree with me, and there's people that are going to disagree with me. There's going to be a legal standpoint that's going to say, well, they're a published company, and they did everything, and they crossed the T's and dot the I's, and they put this out, and it's published, or it's self-published. So, you know, to deny somebody privately owned companies have that right to refuse business. That's a fact. So you guys could shut it down. You guys could say, hey, you know, that's a gimmick. We as a company, we don't agree with that, so we're not going to grade it. You guys have that empowerment. Just like how there are multiple variants being printed without the actual authorizations of these conventions to use their logos. For example, we've seen over the years LA Con, MegaCon, New York Comic Con, blah, 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 and people just print the logos on the backs of the comic books, and then they call them convention exclusives. And a lot of the time, these convention exclusives were never approved by the convention. And then they hide that back cover behind that backing board, and they sell their books on the tables, and they promote it as convention exclusives, but in fact they're not. And you guys seen that through the years. You guys seen that through the recent years, especially now with the oversaturation of live sales. So with that said, eyes wide open, power's in the palm of your hands. You buy what you want to buy. Nobody in the world can tell you different. You like it, you like it. But we got to keep integrity alive. Do the right thing. Say it with me. A collectible is only worth the price someone in the world is willing to pay for it. This is unscripted, unedited, unrehearsed, and goddamn it, I love it. I'll see you guys soon.